was the middle of September, a Thursday night, one of those muggy Texas evenings where the air feels heavier than it should. I remember it because I had been lying in bed for hours, not really doing much, just scrolling on my phone like everyone else does when they can't sleep. The time was somewhere around midnight. I had the blinds half closed, letting in a pale wash of orange from the streetlight outside, and my little box fan was humming in the corner to keep the heat from sticking too much. I wasn't planning on making a TikTok that night, but boredom and restlessness can push you into small, stupid decisions. I wasn't chasing followers or views. I barely had 300 people on my account, most of them friends from high school who had long since stopped watching. I just opened the app, picked a random trending sound, and filmed myself lip-syncing while sitting cross-legged on the bed. I didn't do more than one take. I wasn't in the mood to try hard. I remember I held my phone a little below eye level, the camera catching most of my upper body and the plain beige wall behind me. I played the sound, mouthed the words, gave a small grin that I knew looked awkward, and hit stop. A 30-second video, nothing remarkable at all. I hit play to watch it before uploading, and that was the first time I heard it. It was faint under the track itself, but once I noticed it, it was unmistakable. A whisper. At first I thought it was part of the audio, some kind of effect layered in to make it creepier, but it wasn't in the original sound. I played the clip 3 more times, bringing the phone close to my ear. At around the 12-second mark, right as I leaned slightly forward in the video, there was this soft but distinct voice, a male voice. I couldn't make out every word, but I swear it was saying my name. Just that. My name, spoken slow and drawn out, like someone was leaning right into the microphone to breathe it out. I sat there staring at the screen, the smile frozen on my recorded self, wondering if it was just some kind of glitch or bleed from a different sound. My phone wasn't new, and TikTok was always buggy. For a minute I considered just deleting it, but boredom won out again, and I shrugged it off. I told myself no one would notice, and if they did, maybe it would make the video creepier and get more views. I uploaded it and tossed the phone aside, rolling over in bed and falling asleep not long after. The next morning, the first thing I did was check notifications. Normally I'd be lucky to get a handful of likes overnight, but this one had nearly 500 views by 7 a.m. The comments were the first thing that made my stomach turn. Who's the guy in the back? Pause at 012, look behind his shoulder. Bro, there's someone whispering. I can't unsee it. Never recording in my room again if I were you. I scrolled through them in disbelief, my heart hammering. With a shaky hand, I opened the video again and went frame by frame. At first I didn't see anything. The wall looked the same as always. But then, when I slowed it down just right, I saw what they meant. In the far left corner of the frame, right in the pocket of shadow between the dresser and the door, was a shape. At first it just looked like a darker patch, but as I froze it, the outline sharpened into something I couldn't rationalize away. A figure. Tall. Leaning slightly forward as though its head was tilted down toward me. Its mouth was wide open, a black hole in its pale face, like it was caught mid-whisper. The thing is, I live alone. Always have since I got this place. It's a small 1-bedroom rental, nothing fancy. I lock my doors every night, double-check the windows, no one could have been in there. But there it was, captured in the background of my own video. I spent the rest of the day trying to come up with explanations. Maybe it was a shadow I hadn't noticed. Maybe a glitch, some weird compression artifact. I wanted to believe that. But every time I replayed the clip, the shape looked more defined, not less. By evening, the video had gone semi-viral. Over 10,000 views, dozens of comments pointing it out, some people joking, others swearing it was the scariest thing they'd seen on the app that week. A few accused me of faking it. I wished I had. That night, I set my phone on the dresser and decided to try recording again. This time, just to prove to myself there was nothing there. I hit record, sat on the bed, and talked casually into the camera for a minute about my day. Nothing creepy, no sound playing, just me. When I replayed it, my chest tightened. The whisper was there again, louder this time. I could hear it even over my own voice. And it wasn't just my name anymore. It was longer, A phrase I couldn't fully catch, like it was right on the edge of being clear. Something like, "Let me in," or "I'm still here." I couldn't be sure. I didn't upload that one. I deleted it immediately and sat there in the quiet of my room, feeling my skin crawl. I told myself I wouldn't record anymore, that it was probably just some messed up interference or something with the mic. But the more I tried to forget it, the more the thought gnawed at me. Over the next few days, small things started happening. The fan in my room would shut off in the middle of the night even though it was still plugged in. My phone would be on the floor in the morning, even if I'd left it on the dresser. Once, I woke to the faintest sound of someone breathing right next to my ear, but when I turned, no one was there. The worst was the third recording. I hadn't meant to do it. I had been scrolling TikTok again late one night and somehow my camera had switched on. When I noticed, I stopped it and went to delete, but curiosity got the better of me. I played it back. The video showed me lying, in bed, exactly as I had been. But the angle was wrong. The camera wasn't in my hand or on the dresser. It was like someone else had been holding it, standing in the corner where the shadow had been, filming me as I slept. I haven't recorded anything since. I can't. But sometimes when I'm lying in the dark, I hear the whisper again. Louder now. Closer. Like whoever he is, whatever he is, isn't stuck in the videos anymore. Like he's here, standing just beyond the glow of the streetlight, leaning toward me with his mouth wide open, waiting for me to hit record again. It started 2 Fridays ago, around 11:45 p.m. I remember the time because I had just finished a long FaceTime call with my cousin, who lives in Houston, and I was bored enough to scroll endlessly through TikTok. I wasn't planning on recording anything that night. I was tired, a little wired from coffee, and half-heartedly thinking about bed. Then I stumbled on a trending sound. Some eerie, distorted music that reminded me of carnival organs played backward. Thousands of people were using it with this creepy face filter. I hadn't seen it before. The filter made your mouth stretch too wide, gave you flat white eyes like glass marbles, and added this subtle cracking noise whenever you moved your head. It was uncanny, unsettling, but also kind of funny in a cheap horror way. I figured, why not? I propped my phone against a water glass on my desk, hit record, and let the filter take over. At first, it worked like normal. My grin warped grotesquely across my cheeks. My pupils vanished into that soulless white. The background dimmed slightly, like the filter was trying to isolate me from my messy room. I tilted my head slowly to match the weird sound, and I swear I heard the faintest crack of cartilage even though my actual neck didn't move that far. Creepy but cool. Then right around the 15-second mark, the filter glitched. The screen froze for half a beat. My image lagged behind my actual movements like the camera couldn't keep up. Then the filter flickered off and back on again. Except this time it didn't. My reflection, if that's what I should call it, was still smiling far too wide even though my face was relaxed. My eyes in the app stayed pale and dead even though I blinked and focused normally. I lifted my hand to stop the recording, but the camera just shut off by itself. The screen went black, as if someone had powered the phone down, even though I hadn't touched the button. When it lit back up again, I was on my home screen. No active app, no error message, nothing. I thought it was a bug. TikTok's filters aren't exactly perfect, and my phone's a couple years old. I shrugged it off and checked my gallery. That's when I got this sick feeling in my gut. The saved video wasn't filtered, not even slightly. It was raw footage. Just me, sitting at my desk under the dim light of my lamp. Except I wasn't myself. My mouth hung open in a fixed grin that cut almost to my ears. My lips didn't look stretched. They looked split, cracked at the corners like someone had hooked their fingers in and torn them wider. My eyes were pale, milk-glassed like someone dead a week. My face moved in little jerks and twitches like my muscles were firing on their own. And all the while that cracking sound played even though it shouldn't have been there at all. I dropped the phone onto my desk. I didn't want to touch it. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, breathing hard, staring at the black screen. My room felt wrong, The air had a stillness to it, like when a storm's about to hit, except it was a calm summer night and the cicadas outside were droning as usual. I told myself it was just a bug, some rendering issue. The audio probably glitched, the filter, corrupted, whatever. There had to be an explanation, except when I finally picked my phone up again, the video wasn't just saved, it had uploaded. I didn't press anything. I swear I didn't. But it was already live on my account, posted for everyone to see. My Wi-Fi was on, yeah, but I hadn't hit upload. The app must have done it automatically, except TikTok doesn't do that. By the time I checked the comments, the video had a couple thousand views. Overnight, it hit 1 million. Most people thought it was fake. ARG? What's the editing app? No way this is raw footage. Some said it was the best filter hack they'd ever seen. A few said it made them feel sick, like something was wrong with the sound, like their bones ached when they listened to it. I tried to delete it. The app wouldn't let me. Every time I hit remove, it froze, then jumped back to the video, page like nothing happened. I uninstalled TikTok completely. The video stayed up, and that's when the real problem started. Because when I looked in the bathroom mirror the next morning, I wasn't normal. I was brushing my teeth, bleary-eyed, not thinking about much except how crappy my mouth tasted from too much late-night coffee. Then I spat, rinsed, looked up, and froze. My reflection was smiling. Not me. My reflection. I had a straight face, toothbrush hanging from my hand, foam still at the corners of my mouth. But the mirror me grinned ear to ear, teeth wet and sharp, eyes pale and unblinking. I screamed, staggered back so hard I knocked my shoulder into the doorframe. The grin melted away. In a blink, it was just me again. I didn't go to work that day. I kept checking every reflective surface. My laptop screen when it went black, my darkened TV, even the sheen of my coffee pot. Half the time it was normal. The other half, the smile, lingered. It got worse. My cousin texted me a few days later. Bro, that vid you posted is insane. How? I told him it wasn't me. I told him not to watch it again. He just laughed and said, Lamau, don't start an ARG without me. People started duetting it, remixing it. The sound, the one with the backward carnival organ, kept getting used more and more. And somehow it always synced with my video no matter how people spliced it. I don't understand how that's possible. I stopped answering calls. Stopped going out. The mirror smile shows up more now, not less. Sometimes it holds eye contact when I move. Sometimes it twitches its head in the opposite direction of mine, like it's learning how to break free of me. Last night, I woke up to the sound of cartilage cracking. Not from outside, from my own throat. I ran to the bathroom, flipped on the light, and there it was. My reflection, grinning, eyes flat white. My body in the mirror leaned closer, pressing its forehead against the glass while I stood frozen a foot away. Its lips moved. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see them, over and over, forming with a too-wide grin. Let me out. I haven't looked in any mirror since. I smashed the bathroom one with a hammer and draped sheets over the rest. My phone screen too. I taped paper across it, but I can still feel it. The smile tugging at my cheeks when I'm not paying attention. The bones in my neck aching like they're straining toward that impossible angle. And the worst part? The videos, still up. I checked once through a friend's phone. It's not on my account anymore, it's everywhere. People re-upload it daily, they think it's funny. They don't know that the more you watch it, the easier it gets in. If you see it, if you hear the sound, don't let it finish. Don't let yourself smile, because I think once you do, it's not your face anymore, and sooner or later it's going to want out. I don't usually post on here, but I need to write this down somewhere before I lose my mind. I'm 25, live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Dallas, Texas, and until last week, I thought I was just another normal guy killing time, online like everyone else. Now I'm scared to be in my own home, scared to check my phone, scared to even close my eyes at night. If you read this, just promise me one thing. Don't ever use sounds on TikTok you don't recognize. It started, stupidly, on a quiet Thursday evening, August 14th, around 8:30 p.m. The air conditioner was rattling in my window, the kind of noise you stop noticing after weeks of Texas heat. I'd just finished dinner, some microwaved pasta that tasted more like cardboard than food, and I was scrolling through TikTok like I always do. My For You page was the usual mix of cooking hacks, gym videos, and people dancing in their kitchens. I'd been messing around with making short clips, nothing serious, just random videos to kill boredom. One of my friends had told me that using trending sounds was the fastest way to get views, so I'd started paying more attention to the audio than the actual content. That's what led me to the sound. It wasn't in my For You page, it wasn't trending, I don't even know how it got onto my phone. I was editing a clip of my cat swatting at a moth in the kitchen. When I tapped Add Sound, it was just there, an audio file sitting at the top of the library list, no title, no thumbnail, nothing. Just a blank entry with a play button. Curiosity got me. The sound was strange. It wasn't like music, not exactly. It was faint, like a child humming to themselves, but the notes weren't steady. They wavered, dipping in and out like whoever was making the noise kept moving closer and then pulling away from the microphone. There was static underneath it too, a thin crackle that almost masked the tune. I remember frowning and thinking it sounded creepy, like something you'd hear on a baby monitor at 3 a.m, but it also had this weird quality that made it stick in my head. I replayed it a couple of times, tilting my phone closer to my ear. It almost made me feel uneasy in a physical way, like my chest was tightening. But I shrugged it off. Maybe it was just some underground audio people were experimenting with. I decided to use it. I clipped the sound over the video of my cat, uploaded it without a second thought. By the time I went to bed, the video had maybe 200 views and a handful of comments. I remember scrolling through them half asleep. Most were the usual cute cat type, but one comment stood out. It said, "Not funny. I heard this same song last night. There was someone in my house." I blinked at it, confused. I figured it was some troll trying to be edgy. I clicked on their profile. It was empty, no posts, no followers. I shrugged it off and went to sleep. The next morning there were more comments. Not a flood, but enough that I noticed. A few people asked what the sound was called, saying they couldn't find it. Others said it gave them chills. And then there were a couple that made my stomach drop. I swear this is the same humming I heard when my grandma passed. It came from the hallway that night. This sound isn't a joke, it's what you hear before they appear. They? Who the hell were they? I told myself people were just role-playing, trying to scare others like they do with Slender Man, or Backrooms content. Still, something about those comments stuck in my brain like a splinter. That night I woke up at 2:47 a.m., no idea why, just wide awake, heart pounding. The apartment was dark except for the faint blue light of my router. For a second I thought maybe the AC had cut out and that's what woke me, but no, it was humming like normal. And then I realized what I was hearing. It wasn't the AC. It was that same humming, low and broken, drifting from the direction of my kitchen. I froze. My apartment isn't big. The kitchen is maybe 15 steps from my bed. I could see the faint outline of the doorway from where I was lying. My first thought was that someone had broken in. My second thought, less rational, was that the sound had come out of my phone somehow. I sat there for what felt like forever, straining to listen. The humming rose and fell, the same pattern I'd heard in the TikTok sound, like a child humming through static. I finally forced myself to get up. My knees felt weak as I crept toward the kitchen, flicking on the light. The sound stopped immediately. The kitchen was empty, nothing out of place. I checked the front door, still locked. Windows latched. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. When I opened TikTok, my video was gone. Not taken down. Gone. My profile said I'd never posted it. The watch history was blank. The audio wasn't in the library anymore. It was like none of it had ever existed. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Over the next couple of days, I kept hearing it. Always late at night, always faint, always coming from somewhere just out of sight. Once it was from the bathroom, once from the corner near my closet. Every time I turned on the light, it stopped. By the third night, I stopped checking. I just lay there listening, heart hammering, too scared to move. I told my friend Marcus about it over lunch. I didn't tell him everything, just that I'd found a creepy sound and that I swore I kept hearing it in my apartment. He laughed, said I was overworked, probably overtired. But when I tried to find the sound again to show him, it was nowhere to be found. I felt like an idiot. That night, though, Marcus called me. His voice was shaky. He said, bro, you're not going to believe this, but I think I heard your sound. That same humming. It was coming from outside my window. I live on the 3rd floor. Man, no balcony, no ledge. He hung up right after. I tried calling back, but he wouldn't answer. The next day, he wouldn't talk about it. Said he must have dreamed it, but I could hear it in his voice. He was lying. It's been a week now. The humming hasn't stopped. It's every night, sometimes soft, sometimes louder, like it's moving through my apartment, searching. I've stopped turning on the lights. Because here's the thing. I think when I acknowledge it, when I react, it notices. And last night, for the first time, I swear I heard it right next to me. Not in the kitchen, not in the bathroom, right beside my bed. The air turned cold, and the humming was so close I could feel it in my chest. I didn't move, didn't breathe. And then, slowly, like a hand pressing against my ear, I heard whispering underneath the hum. A voice I can't describe, too broken, too warped, but I understood one word. Play. I don't know what to do anymore. I deleted TikTok from my phone, but it doesn't matter. The sound is still here. I'm hearing it right now as I type, this drifting in from the hallway. If you've heard it too, if you've ever used that sound, please tell me I'm not alone. Because I think whatever it is doesn't want to be ignored. It wants to spread, and I was stupid enough to give it a platform. If you hear humming at night, don't look. Don't search for it, don't play it back, it's already playing for you. It was one of those humid nights that pressed against the windows like a damp cloth. August 11th, 2023. I remember the date clearly because it was the morning after that I noticed everything had shifted, like reality itself had quietly gone crooked while I slept. I live in a modest one-bedroom apartment in San Antonio, Texas. Nothing fancy, just a ground floor unit with a beige carpet that holds the ghosts of old stains and a set of blinds that clatter in the slightest breeze. I'd gone to bed at about 11:45 p.m. the night before, exhausted from another graveyard shift at the warehouse. My routine is painfully normal. Eat a microwaved dinner, scroll my phone until my eyes burn, then crash into bed. I don't stream, I don't post videos, and I definitely don't go live. That kind of attention makes me nauseous. But at 7:12 a.m. I woke to my phone buzzing like crazy on the nightstand, notifications stacked on top of each other in endless rows, new followers, comments, messages. At first I thought it was spam or maybe some bot farm had latched onto my account. But when I opened TikTok, my stomach dropped. The notifications weren't random, they were specific. Dude, your live was wild, I can't stop thinking about it. That ending freaked me. The hell out. Was that real? Please tell me that wasn't real. At least 30 comments in the same vein, all pointing to a live stream I had supposedly hosted at 3 a.m. I froze, thumb hovering over the screen. My account is barely used. I made it years ago just to watch videos my friends sent me. I had a handful of old likes, no real content, and definitely no lives. But there it was, a saved live stream under replays, posted at 3:01 a.m. My chest tightened as I tapped it. The screen filled with the dim image of my room. My actual room. The grainy camera pointed at my desk, and there I was, sitting in my chair. The blinds behind me were shut, my lamp casting its yellow glow over the clutter of unopened mail and empty soda cans. But what froze me wasn't the setting. It was me. I was sitting perfectly still, staring at the camera. My eyes were wide open, unblinking, my face slack and expressionless. I didn't move. Not once. For 2 hours and 14 minutes. The live had started at 3:01 and ended at 5:15, with hundreds of people watching by the time it cut off. Near the very end, at the 2:13:46 mark, my body leaned forward, slow and deliberate, until my lips nearly brushed the lens. In a low, rasping whisper, I said, "See you tomorrow." Then the feed ended. I was sitting upright in bed, cold sweat breaking across my forehead, watching myself whisper words I never said. I hadn't been awake. I hadn't been out of bed. At 3 a.m. I was dead asleep, a fan whirring quietly beside me. I know because I woke up at 6:50, groggy, tangled in sheets, exactly where I had collapsed. I checked my desk chair. Empty. My blinds hadn't moved. My lamp was off. Everything looked normal, untouched. And yet thousands of people had watched me live stream for 2 hours in the middle of the night. I tried to calm myself with logic. Maybe my account was hacked. Maybe someone spoofed a feed or played back an old video of me. Except I'd never recorded myself in that position, and the room details were exact, down to the stack of bills I'd only set on the desk yesterday evening. My skin crawled. I went through the comments looking for some rational clue, but they only made things worse. Why didn't you blink the whole time? Is that a filter or some AI shit? Dude, when you said see you tomorrow, I almost threw my phone. The eyes, what's wrong with your eyes? That last one made my chest cave in. I replayed the video, skipping ahead to the final whisper. This time I zoomed in on my face. The camera quality was garbage, pixels blurring in the dim light. But one thing became horribly clear. My pupils weren't right. They were too large, swallowing almost the entire iris until my eyes looked black and glassy. I didn't remember my eyes ever looking like that. I don't think human eyes are supposed to. I didn't go to work that day. I sat at my desk staring at my phone, refreshing the app like an addict. Around noon, I tried deleting the replay. I thought if I erased it, maybe the nightmare would end. But TikTok wouldn't let me. Every time I hit delete, it refreshed back into place, saved as if carved into stone. By evening, I tried logging out completely, but the app logged itself. Back in the moment, I closed and reopened it. That night, I was terrified to sleep. I left my phone charging in the kitchen, face down, and locked my bedroom door. I told myself I'd just stay awake, maybe keep the TV on and write it out. Around 1:30 a.m., exhaustion pulled me under despite every effort. The last thing I remember was the blue flicker of some late-night commercial, and then nothing. When I woke at 6:40 a.m., dread curdled in my stomach before I even checked my phone. My hands shook as I unlocked it. Notifications again. Dozens of them. The second live stream replay was waiting. 3:04 a.m. to 5:22 a.m. 2 hours, 18 minutes. I opened it, bile rising in my throat. There I was again, sitting at my desk. But this time I wasn't still. I twitched. Every few minutes my head jerked slightly to the side, like something was pulling it by invisible strings. My hands occasionally drummed the desktop in uneven, unnatural rhythms. At the 47-minute mark, my mouth pulled into a wide, toothy smile I didn't feel. It stretched far too long, teeth clenched so hard the tendons in my neck stood out. At an hour and 42 minutes in, I started humming, a flat, droning sound like a single note dragged endlessly through my throat. The comments rolled across the screen in real time, people begging to know what was happening, asking if this was some ARG or creepy performance art. Near the end, I leaned in again, eyes black, smile rigid, and whispered, "Closer." I slammed the phone down and backed away like it was toxic. My knees nearly gave out beneath me. I didn't stream that. I was asleep again. My sheets were still warm with my body heat. I had dreamed nothing, remembered nothing. But the internet had watched me for 2 hours, sitting here like a puppet, on display. I called my friend Marcus. He's into tech, the kind of guy who knows about encryption and hacks. When I told him, he laughed at first, thought I was pulling a bit. But when I sent him the link to the replay, he went quiet. A long silence, then he said, "That's not you, man. That can't be you." "It is me," I whispered. "Look at the room, look at everything." "No," he said firmly. I mean, it's your face, but it's not you. Something's wrong with it. Watch the shoulders. They don't move right. They're too stiff, too symmetrical. I watched, again, stomach sinking. He was right. My shoulders rose and fell in mechanical rhythm like a machine pretending to breathe. Marcus told me to get rid of the phone, smash it, toss the SIM, get a new one. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But when I tried to power it down, the screen stayed lit, frozen on my own black-eyed face from the replay. No matter how long I held the button, it wouldn't turn off. That night, I didn't just lock my bedroom door. I shoved my dresser against it, stacked chairs on top. I couldn't risk sleep, but my body betrayed me again. At 3 a.m. sharp, I woke to a faint hum echoing from the living room. My hum, the same flat note. My phone was live streaming again. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't opened the app. But the faint glow under the crack of the door told me it was happening. The comments scrolled in my imagination like phantom voices, watching, laughing, asking for more. And now it's tonight. My account shows another countdown, a bright red timer ticking away to 3 a.m. I can't stop it. I can't delete it. People are already waiting, already excited. Strangers hungry to see me sit and stare, to whisper words I never chose. I don't know what will happen when the timer hits 0 again. I only know one thing. The livestream isn't mine, but whatever is using my face wants to be seen. And tonight, it's not going to stay in the screen. It started on a Saturday night in early March 2023. I remember because the weather had just begun shifting from cold dampness into the kind of mild spring evenings where the air feels clean and still, like the world has been rinsed out. I was sitting in my apartment in Fort Worth, bored and restless, scrolling endlessly through TikTok. For context, I'm not a huge content creator or anything. I'm not trying to be famous. I work full-time in a warehouse. I come home exhausted most nights. And TikTok is just something I mess around with to pass the time. I post little dancing clips here and there. Nothing professional, just me moving around my living room, laughing, trying to follow the latest trends. A few videos got a couple thousand views, mostly because of the sounds I picked, not because of me. That night, after half an hour of scrolling, I noticed I had a notification. Someone had duetted one of my older dance videos, the one where I did a goofy attempt at the drop challenge in my socks and almost slipped. The duet was from an account I didn't recognize. No profile picture, just the default silhouette. The username was strange too, ahereturns33. Curious, I tapped it. My video was on the left side of the screen, playing normally. On the right side, the duet side, was a girl. Except she wasn't dancing, she wasn't moving at all. She just stood there stiff as a statue, staring at me. She looked about my age, maybe early 20s, with long dark hair that fell over her, shoulders in clumps. Her skin was so pale it almost reflected the dim light of the room she stood in. Behind her, I could make out peeling wallpaper and a bare wall with cracks running through it. She didn't blink. She didn't smile. She didn't. At first I laughed. It was weird but not terrifying. Just some creepy attempt at getting attention. I assumed she was doing some ironic bit like mocking me by being dead serious. But when I watched it again, I realized her eyes weren't focused on the camera. They weren't even watching the screen. Her pupils were tilted slightly off as though she were staring directly at me, through me, like she knew I'd be sitting there, phone in hand, watching. It unsettled me enough that I set the phone down for a few minutes and turned on my TV for background noise. Later that night, before bed, I checked her account out of curiosity. There was only that one duet. No other videos. No bio. No likes, just that. I shrugged it off. The internet is full of weirdos. The next day passed normally. I worked a long shift unloading trucks, and by the time I got home, I was too tired to even think about TikTok. But around 3:15 in the morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing on the nightstand. Groggy, I checked it. Another notification. Another 2A. This time, when I opened it, my chest went cold. It was the same girl. Same expression, same stiff posture. Only this time her head was tilted slightly, like she'd leaned closer to the screen. Her hair covered part of her face, but I could see her lips slightly parted as if she were whispering something. The room behind her looked darker, but I could still see that cracked wall. She hadn't danced, hadn't said anything, hadn't even moved except for that subtle tilt of her head. I turned the volume all the way up, straining to hear if there was any sound, static, breathing, anything. Nothing. Just silence. I deleted the notification and locked my phone, trying to convince myself it was just some elaborate trolling attempt. People make creep accounts all the time, right? But when I lay back down, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was watching me even as I closed my eyes. The next morning, I told my coworker Ryan about it during our lunch break. "Dude, that's just TikTok being TikTok," he said, laughing, with a mouthful of chips. "Some people make whole accounts just to mess with random strangers. Don't give it attention, block her." "Yeah, I might," I said. But my voice didn't sound convincing even to me. I didn't block her. Something about it felt different. Not like trolling. More intentional. That night, I made sure to stay up past midnight. I had this sinking dread that if I fell asleep, I'd wake up at 3:15 again to another notification. I tried to distract myself with YouTube videos, Netflix, scrolling endlessly. I think I finally dozed off around 2:30. At 3:15, my phone buzzed. I swear my stomach dropped so hard I felt nauseous. With shaking hands, I picked up the phone and opened TikTok. Another duet. This time, she wasn't in the peeling wallpaper room anymore. The background behind her had changed. She was standing in what looked like a hallway. The lighting was dim, but I could make out a window at the far end with the faint glow of a streetlight outside. The wallpaper was gone. The cracked wall was gone. Instead, there was a hallway with scuffed floors and a shadow stretching unnaturally, far behind her, and her eyes. They weren't just staring at me anymore. They were locked onto something slightly off-screen, angled like she was staring past the camera. That's when I noticed it. The window behind her. The faint orange glow. The shape of the tree just outside. It looked almost identical to the hallway, outside my apartment door. I froze, replaying it over and over, comparing every detail. It wasn't perfect, but it was close enough to make my chest tighten. I jumped up, threw on a hoodie, and crept to my apartment door. Slowly, I opened it, peeking out into the hallway. It was empty, silent. The only light came from the dim overhead bulb and the glow from the streetlight outside the end window, exactly like in her video. I shut the door quickly, locked it, and paced my living room, trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. Was she here? Was this some sick prank by someone? In the building. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. By morning, I was exhausted and jumpy. I scrolled through her account again, but now there were 3 duets. All of them in order, like a progression. First the bare room, then the tilted head, then the hallway that looked like mine. I decided to block her, but when I tapped her profile, the block option wasn't there. The account page froze, glitched for a second, and then refreshed. Her username was gone, just a blank. No handle, no way to interact. That night, I didn't even try to sleep. I sat on my couch with every light on, phone on the coffee table, determined not to open TikTok. At 3:15, the phone buzzed anyway, another notification. Against every instinct, I opened it. This time, the girl was outside. I could see her standing under the pale orange glow of a streetlight. But not just any streetlight, the one across from my building. I recognized the shape of the cracked sidewalk beneath her feet. Her face was still expressionless, but her head was tilted further, her hair falling completely across one side of her face. Her eyes were locked onto the camera with an intensity that made my throat dry up. I dropped the phone. My chest was hammering so hard it hurt. I forced myself to the window, pulled the curtain back just a sliver. She wasn't there. The streetlight glowed over an empty sidewalk. When I checked my phone again, the video was gone. Deleted. No trace. But the account wasn't. Now it had a name again. Only it wasn't Here turns 33 anymore. It was my full name, first and last, and beneath it, one single bio line had appeared. Look outside.